The galactic emissary ship did not arrive with dread, fire, or conquest. It came with a bow. A shimmering vessel in the shape of a floating hourglass breached Earth's upper atmosphere at precisely 0900 UTC, trailing no smoke, no weapon signatures, no demands. Just a single message, translated into 6,000 languages and beamed simultaneously to every satellite, station, and streaming platform. We have come to protect you. Most of Earth blinked at the screens, mid-coffee or mid-scroll, and thought it a prank. Then came the live transmission, diplomatic figures of ethereal beauty, with translucent skin and star-like veins, standing in circular formation beneath a dome of sapphire glass. Their voices layered melodic, somehow both kind and condescending. Ambassador Thalion of the High Celestial Dominion stepped forward, robes fluttering like smoke in low gravity. Humans of Earth, he intoned, you are a precious and chaotic species. We come not to subjugate, but to shield. Your world is vulnerable. Your place in the stars, unsupervised. They meant well. At least, that's what the galaxy would remember. 30 hours later, Earth's United Council convened an emergency summit on the orbital station Halberd. The delegates were anxious, polite, and mostly unarmed. The kind of unarmed that still carried briefcases capable of nuking a continent. The humans chose to send exactly one ambassador. Clark Henderson, former logistics officer, Midwestern accent, civilian beard, and a well-worn NASA hoodie that read "T.O. the Moon" again, in cracked white print. He arrived late. The Galactic assembly had been in position for 13 minutes when the human shuttle docked. A soft hiss of pressure release, a pause, and then Clark shuffled through the doors, holding a styrofoam coffee cup and a slightly soggy breakfast burrito in a napkin. He looked around at the dozens of alien species, 8 eyes, gas masks, vibrating tendrils, and gave a cheerful nod. Sorry, traffic over the equator's a mess. Y'all been waiting long. A low murmur rippled through the assembly. A Threxan delegate, a gaunt, violet-hued being with feathered mandibles, tilted its head. Is this your chosen representative? Clark sipped his coffee. Sure am. Clark Henderson. I do logistics, damage control, and sometimes bake pies. Y'all brought a whole choir, huh? Ambassador Thalion's expression did not flicker. You are late. Clark squinted as if genuinely surprised. You said 9 a.m. Earth time. That's Eastern Standard. We still use time zones down here. Bit of a cultural thing. The pause was deafening. Somewhere behind Clark, a human military officer, tactfully positioned as attaché, pinched the bridge of his nose and whispered into a comm, "He's doing it again." Clark smiled, wide and warm. So, you're here to protect us, huh? That's mighty neighborly. Protection from what, if you don't mind me asking? The ambassadors exchanged glances. The tentacled one buzzed something in a forgotten dialect. Thalion cleared his throat. From the galaxy. It is not gentle. And your species is unguarded. Emotionally reactive. Violent. Clark's brows lifted. Well, that's a fair point. We did invent nukes before space travel. Also karaoke. It's not our proudest era. Another murmur. A soft, amused one this time. Nonetheless, Thalion said, we offer you the hand of inclusion. Join the Dominion. Become our client. Be protected. Clark nodded slowly, as if tasting the words. Client, huh? Not partner. There is a difference, the Threxan delegate said. Bet there is, Clark said with a grin. Behind him, an aide passed him a data pad. Clark scrolled, frowned, tapped twice, and looked up again. Well, we've reviewed your offer. It's very thorough. Lot of legalese. Looks like we give you control of our planetary defense grid, airspace coordination, orbital manufacturing, and, diplomatic speech regulation. Huh. Thalion inclined his head. All for your protection. You will still retain your cultural identity. Celebrations, music, primitive rituals, these are not at risk. Clark chuckled. You're really worried about our 4th of July, huh? Silence. He took another sip. Well, I can't speak for all 8 billion of us. But I can say this, we appreciate the gesture. It's always nice when someone big and sparkly says they're looking out for you. Means a lot. He tapped the table. But you ever try to pet a cat, that don't want to be held? Threxan feathers stiffened. Clark leaned forward. Thing is, we humans, we've got this twitch. Whenever someone says they're here to protect us, we get real curious about what they're protecting us from, and what they think they get to control after. Thalion's voice chilled half a degree. Is that a refusal? Clark shrugged. Nah. We accept. Wholeheartedly. Let's be friends. He reached into his bag, pulled out a pen, and signed the treaty projected into the air before him. Not a stylus, not a retinal scan. A ballpoint pen, half-chewed, with a sparkly unicorn sticker on it. Thalion stared at the signature. Clark added a smiley face. Wonderful, Thalion said tightly. You bet. Clark stood and offered his hand. Handshakes, still tradition, in our neck of the woods. Thalion looked at it as if it were a trap. Eventually, he extended a long, gelatinous limb and clasped fingers with Earth's representative. The room shimmered with mutual discomfort. Then Clark said gently, we look forward to learning all about your empire. He turned to leave, nodding at the various envoys. Welcome to Earth. If you need anything, just holler. We're real good at adapting. As the doors closed behind him, the Threxan turned to Thalion. That man, he is wrong. Thalion frowned. He signed the treaty. We control the system now. The Threxan's voice dropped. No, he is not wrong like a fool. He is wrong like a mirror. They are not what they seem. Aboard Earth, satellites began to move, just slightly. Tiny, near-invisible shifts in orbital drift. A data packet pulsed through deep space channels, bouncing off forgotten relays, encoded in subharmonic pulses. It was not directed at the Empire. Not yet. Aboard the Halberd, Clark sat in the dim quiet of his private quarters, burrito finished, coffee cooling. His eyes scanned a separate screen, different from the public treaty files. It showed a countdown. Initiate contingency echo, T-minus 28 days. Status, passive. Hidden. Watching. He leaned back, sighed, and muttered, they really do think we need protecting. He turned off the screen, smiled faintly, and whispered into the dark. Let M. The Empire arrived bearing fruit. Not literal fruit, though to be fair, the crystalline orchards they gifted over Greenland were technically edible, but diplomatic ones. Resource maps, medical advancements, hyperspace scaffolding for Earth's low orbit, and a streaming service that translated alien opera into 312 languages, including Latin and emoji. Their presence was subtle at first. Observers, advisors, gentle coaxing. They repainted themselves not as conquerors, but consultants. Earth didn't resist. It welcomed them with open arms and unlocked phones. Humanity's leaders, media, and think tanks gushed over interstellar partnership and galactic cultural exchange. Political cartoons showed humans in tuxedos shaking hands with space squid. Kids wore backpacks shaped like the Empire's jelly ambassadors. There was even a cereal. But beneath the charm offensive lay a strange truth. Humanity wasn't doing anything stupid. No accidental warships launched. No missiles test-fired. No invasions. Just cooperation. Pleasant, curious, and absurdly calm. The aliens found that unnerving. It began with Clark. He made public appearances as Earth's liaison to the Dominion. Suited now, light gray, subtly wrinkled, and freshly shaven, though somehow still looking like he'd just rolled out of a warm Midwestern nap. At one summit in lunar orbit, he sat between a gas-bagged diplomat from the atmosphere of Kepler, 22b, and a fractal-based AI housed in what looked like a box of wind chimes. Clark leaned in, grinning. You ever been to Kansas in the fall? Sky turns a color you wouldn't believe. Looks like fire and peace got into an argument. The AI buzzed approvingly. Across from him, High Ambassador Thalion studied the human as if looking for seams in a hologram. Earth has complied with every recommendation. You have integrated 72% of our planetary upgrades. Why are your people still untroubled? Clark turned innocently. Should we be troubled? There is no resistance. No backlash. Not even protests. Clark tilted his head. You don't like compliance? We do not trust it, the Threxan delegate murmured. Clark just sipped his tea. It wasn't Earth-grown anymore. It was a citrus-forward variant from Jarnock 5, but he'd taken to it like he'd grown up with it. "I suppose we just like being agreeable," he said. "We're simple folk. Shake hands, share snacks, dig tunnels." "Dig what?" "Tunnels," Clark repeated, smiling. "We're a burrowing species, metaphorically speaking. We like hiding things. And surfacing when it counts." Thalion squinted. Was that a joke? Only if it's funny. They watched him for a moment longer. Later, in private, the Threxan whispered to Thalion, "He is not pretending to be casual. He is casual. And that is worse." On Earth, integration deepened. Alien educators arrived to enhance schools. Human students absorbed concepts at shocking speeds. A 10-year-old from Mumbai reverse-engineered a Starbridge node during lunch and casually used it to call Mars. A group of Appalachian miners hacked a Dominion excavation drone and converted it into a barbecue smoker and/or scanner in one weekend. Alien mentors started asking fewer questions. They began logging incidents, then quietly disappearing. At first, it was explained away: reassignments, interstellar leave, diplomatic fatigue. But the disappearances accelerated. A SCATAR linguist stationed in New Mexico vanished en route to a press interview. A Met-Sari engineer working on sea desalinization tech walked into the Pacific and never came out. Their trackers went dead. Their backup consciousnesses failed to upload. Clark addressed it with serene dismissal. "You ever see owls vanish into trees? Doesn't mean the trees are guilty." One diplomat stared at him. "Are you saying Earth is guilty?" Clark leaned in, voice low. "I'm saying Earth knows how to be quiet." The Empire's internal documents grew more frantic. Memos circulated across interstellar channels warning of subtle insurgencies. Earthlings are not resisting. They are absorbing. Every law, every structure, every assumption we give them, they twist into something else. Even Earth's gift economy confused them. Humans traded alien tools for pickles, poems, and memes. One galactic drone operator became obsessed with SpongeBob, quit his job, and moved to a commune in Ohio. Meanwhile, Earth's infrastructure expanded. But strangely, no alien contractors were ever seen doing the work. Human labor alone accomplished it, despite the apparent complexity. Cities lit with Dominion power cores, but no foreign hands. Transit lines that moved like living circuits, but no alien blueprints recorded. Earth said, "Thank you." But nothing was said of what was built underneath. The Threxan continued to dig, literally. They deployed microsensors into Earth's crust. What they found were voids, massive, unmapped systems of tunnels, bunkers, and thermal-shielded databanks. One site beneath Iceland showed an entire AI arcology hidden under glacial strata, with signals that bounced off the moon. Thalion demanded answers. Clark brought brownies to the meeting. "We just like being prepared," he said, smiling with unblinking calm. "Never know when a storm's coming." "You are lying." He shrugged. "I'm a diplomat." "We all are." "You promised transparency." Clark nodded. "And I meant it. We'll show you everything. Just not all at once." It had ruined the surprise. That afternoon, 20 Dominion surveillance nodes experienced power loss. The cause: localized solar flares, statistically improbable, eerily coordinated. The Threxan envoy returned to the Empire's Central Advisory Chamber with a single statement: "Earth is using diplomacy as camouflage. Their smile is a weapon." "Ridiculous," Thalion said. "They are still infants, eager to please, crude in many ways." "No," the Threxan replied softly. "They are wolves that learn to sow, and they've tailored themselves into something we cannot yet define." Elsewhere, a human science delegation presented the Dominion with Earth's tribute: a box of custom-grown crystalline seeds and a children's drawing of galactic friendship. It depicted a human and an alien holding hands. In the background, a burning star. The Alien Council received it with confused gratitude. Then came the slip. A Dominion outpost near Saturn picked up an unauthorized data transmission. It was brief, exactly 8 seconds. The signal looped once, then self-erased. Its contents were a series of coordinates across Dominion space, each paired with Earth's satellite IDs, disguised as decommissioned. One was located 500 light-years from Earth. It exploded that same day. No military action. No energy readings. Just silence. A missing starport and an entire fleet of diplomatic vessels gone without noise or trace. Dominion officials scrambled for explanations. Wormhole malfunctions? Natural events? Clark, when asked about the signal, simply said, "Sounds like bad luck." "Did your people send that message?" "I'm just an ambassador," he said. "My job's to smile and shake hands. Anything else would be unprofessional." Then he smiled wider. The Empire's confidence frayed. The warm tone of earlier meetings turned brittle. Security increased. Alien advisors began wearing armor to Earth summits. Human children, meanwhile, were teaching themselves the alien alphabet and rewriting it for speed and insult efficiency. Then came the Earth freighter. A small, unregistered ship drifted slowly into an Imperial starlane outside the Helix spiral gate. No weapons. No crew. Just a recording device embedded in its hull. It broadcast a single message, repeated in every known dialect. "Thank you for watching over us. We've watched you back, and now we understand everything." The vessel then detonated, not explosively, but algorithmically. A data pulse bloomed out, corrupting every surveillance drone in a 1,000-kilometer radius. The code was traced to an origin node, Earth. But it was older than expected, 73 years old, buried in an online cooking forum. It wasn't a virus. It was a map. Thalion stared at the final footage, fingers clenched. "Why would they do this?" "They're not doing anything," the Threxan whispered. "That's what makes it terrifying." Clark sat in his private room again, now dressed plainly, hoodie back on, hands wrapped around a steaming mug. Outside, Earth glittered in slow rotation. Serene. Blue. He leaned forward toward the camera, whispering toward a line that wasn't yet connected, to a listener not yet known. "Time to knock, isn't it?" Then he smiled a little too long, and somewhere far beyond Earth's quiet oceans, stars began to blink. The countdown reached its final day with no fireworks, no alarms, just silence. Earth spun peacefully below its atmospheric mesh, a web of seemingly innocuous satellites blinking in sync like lullabies in the sky. Across the Dominion, the Empire readied for Earth's official integration ceremony. One final flourish before the Dominion would formally absorb the Sol system into its growing chain of protected worlds. They didn't know it was already too late. Clark adjusted his tie in the mirror. For once, it wasn't crooked. His suit was pressed. A white carnation bloomed on his lapel, nodding to some forgotten Earth custom, one he claimed was for luck and for ghosts. His eyes were steady in the glass, warm, amused, unreadable. Behind him, General Amanda Rice watched in silence. She was not smiling. "You sure about this?" she asked. Clark blinked slowly. "Nope." She crossed her arms. "But you're doing it anyway." "Of course." He reached for his datapad, slid it into his coat. "That's what makes a human." Across the galaxy, Empire vessels realigned. The grand halls of Concord above Zinther swelled with light as delegates assembled. Music played, an ancient piece from the Dominion's core worlds, full of shimmering harmonics, and the sound of chimes striking water. It was meant to signify union, peace, surrender made beautiful. Earth had sent no fanfare, just a single shuttle unarmed, elegant, with Clark inside and the Earth's sigil projected on its hull, a hand holding a cracked compass. Thalion stood in the center dais, flanked by shimmering officials and cloaked guardians. He bore a radiant staff as tall as a tree and twice as pompous. "Let this day mark unity," he declared. "Let Earth cease to wander. Let it find rest beneath our wings." Clark entered just as the speech concluded, a half-step late on purpose. "Lovely words," he said, bowing. "Very poetic. You should write greeting cards." Thalion's smile was thinner than the veil between assumptions and facts. "We are pleased you have come." Clark nodded. "We brought a gift." He reached into his pocket, not too fast, not too slow. The guards tensed. He pulled out a folded paper crane. The room blinked, camera zoomed. Clark set it gently on the ceremonial table, beside the Dominion seal. Origami, he explained. Symbol of peace, endurance. And it can cut you if you're not careful. The Empire officials did not laugh. The speech began. Clark stood at the dais, hands resting gently on the edge, as if the fate of a species didn't rest just beneath his fingernails. I want to thank you, he said simply. It's not every day a whole galaxy notices us. For most of our history, we've been busy down there, arguing, inventing, destroying, building, hoping, and then you arrived. He paused, eyes scanning the alien crowd. You offered protection, and it was generous. It really was. But the thing about humans is we have a long memory. Not in the way you do, with crystal minds and archive planets. I mean something older. He placed both hands flat on the dais. When someone offers us chains wrapped in velvet, we smile. We say thank you, and then we file the key down to a knife. Thalion's expression froze. Clark's tone softened. Do you know what the most dangerous thing in the universe is? It's not a fleet, not a weapon. It's a species that learned to survive by pretending to need help. A faint click sounded in the chamber. A tiny sound, harmless on its own. Then another. Then 7 more. Across the Empire's core systems, beacons lit red. Communications officers scrambled. Planetary governors shouted over secure lines. Something in their relays was wrong, misaligned. Commands were reversing. Power networks went dark for 4 seconds. For seconds too long. On the moon of Axilion, a Dominion shipyard collapsed inward, folding like paper soaked in acid. On the mining planet Trell, every auto turret aimed not at the horizon, but at their own headquarters. Back in the chamber, Threx and sensors pinged open warnings. They projected screens in the air, live feeds of chaos. What is this? Barked the Hellari representative. What have you done? Clark stepped down from the dais. We accepted your protection. Then we learned how it worked. Then we rewrote it. You attacked us. Thalion snapped. No, Clark said quietly. We triggered what you gave us. Every ship you docked. Every satellite you gifted. Every upgrade you beamed into our clouds. It's yours. It was always yours. We just redirected. One of the guards raised a plasma blade. General Rice's voice came through a comms device, sharp and calm. Do it, and your heart stops before the swing ends. We see everything in this room. From orbit, Earth's relay satellites blinked again. Not in code, in timing. Across the Dominion, 12 major systems collapsed into chaos. Thalion staggered back. You lied to us. No, Clark said, approaching slowly. We played along. We were polite. Because we had to be. Because you came with smiles and teeth. And we wanted to show you both. He stopped one step from the Empire's supreme voice. We are not the anomaly, he said. We are the apex. You just didn't notice. The lights flickered once. Then the feed died. Across the galaxy, Earth's allies, quiet defectors, hidden exiles, abused client worlds, began to rise. Ships launched not with human insignia, but with marks of resistance. Stars redrawn, old banners once burned now stitched anew. They weren't Earth slaves. They were students. Earth hadn't planned a war. It had taught a lesson. In the echoing chamber, as guards screamed and Thalion tried to flee behind his advisors, Clark stood still, checking his watch. On the dot, he murmured. We do love punctuality. Earth's quantum routers, thought to be primitive, had been piggybacking on Dominion channels for months. And now they were the channels. Clark looked up, his expression softened by regret, not gloating. You offered to protect us, he said, so we let you think you were winning. Outside the chamber, the stars flashed again. 1, 2, 3, before fading back into placid stillness. One of the junior alien aides stared at Clark in horror. What are you? He turned, eyes clear and calm. We're the species that hides the knife in the cake. He walked toward the exit as Dominion forces scrambled, as explosions blinked in the outer quadrants. Tell your galaxy, he said without turning. Earth never attacks first. We just finish last. Back on Earth, a grandmother stirred soup and watched the sky. Her wall monitor blinked once. She smiled faintly. In an underground bunker beneath the Arctic, a team of children, 8 to 12 years old, completed a data reroute simulation without a single mistake. And in orbit, satellite Echo 7 completed its loop, silently shifting 2 degrees. Just enough. Clark stood alone aboard the departing shuttle, gazing down at the starscape folding behind them. General Rice's voice crackled in. "They know now." "Yes," he said softly. "Are they ready?" "No," Clark replied, as the comms line clicked off. Then from deep space, a single Dominion probe, off-grid, aged, ignored, picked up a signal. A human voice. Polite. Measured. Familiar. "Begin Phase 2. It didn't take weeks. It didn't even take days. The Galactic Dominion, for all its elegance and millennia of interstellar control, folded like a house of cards in a vacuum. Entire sectors went dark within 29 hours of Earth signal. By the third day, 6 client worlds had declared neutrality. By the fourth, they pledged fealty, not to Earth, but to an idea whispered across wormhole echoes. Freedom doesn't arrive in armadas. It grows in silence. At the center of it all was a man named Clark, whose smile had never quite reached his eyes. He wasn't a warlord, nor a prophet. He was a strategist who knew that the deadliest thing in any galaxy wasn't a battleship. It was a calm man who'd seen what war cost and decided to win it before it started. He stood alone on the observation deck of Station Mira, Earth's highest orbit hub, where the stars felt closer than the clouds. Below him, Earth rotated in serene defiance, blue, burning with quiet purpose. A soft chime signaled a visitor. General Amanda Rice entered, her boots barely making a sound. Her expression was unreadable. "Dominion capitals in flames," she said, voice low. "Thalions fled. They found his escape cruiser drifting near Rigel 4. No crew. No fuel." Clark didn't turn. Funny how power disappears when no one believes in it anymore. She walked to his side, watching the same spinning planet. "It's done." Clark exhaled. It started. Every whisper now reached farther than Earth's own voice. Liberated planets uploaded proof of Dominion lies. Documents buried for centuries. Population culls disguised as trade adjustments. Culture erasures carried out in harmony speak. The galaxy had learned to fear Earth's cunning, but it had also started listening. A broadcast pulsed across every frequency, every sector, translated in every tongue, accompanied by an old Earth tune, slow jazz, low and crackling. "To those who called us savages, to those who offered us protection, thank you for teaching us what chains look like." It wasn't signed. It didn't need to be. Everyone knew. Earth hadn't sent an army. Earth had sent an infection of doubt. Back on Station Mira, Clark finally spoke. "They'll call us tyrants now." "They already are," Rice replied. "But not everyone. You should hear the refugees, those who saw what we saw. They're calling us something else." He tilted his head. "What's that?" She looked at him sideways. "Farmers." Clark laughed. It was dry, tired, genuine. "We plant seeds, all right." They stood in silence, watching the old Dominion territory fracture, not in screams, but in questions. Questions that wouldn't die. Then came the call. A private channel. Encrypted. No source signature. Just a line of text across Clark's screen. We knew it was bait. We came anyway. Clark's face changed only slightly. A tightening around the mouth. A narrowing of the eyes. He tapped the screen. Put it on secure relay. Trace the origin. I want satellites at full scan, 20 parsecs in every direction. Rice stiffened. New threat. He didn't answer immediately. Then, softly, someone survived the fall. And they're not impressed. Elsewhere, a Dominion remnant, once the seat of technological supremacy, began to stir. Not in defiance. In calculation. A small fleet, black as void and built for silence, activated deep under the moon Yari X. It bore no insignia, no flag. Only a single phrase etched into its lead vessel's hull. A Dominion security override blasted the chamber doors shut. Locked from the inside. Across the spiral arm, Dominion war fleets jumped toward Earth, and vanished mid-transit. Not destroyed. Displaced. Someone had changed the wormhole coordinates. Smile back. Clark convened with Earth's remaining operatives, the silent ones, the ones who'd spent decades buried inside the Empire's infrastructure. They were not soldiers. They were linguists, hackers, anthropologists, artists, chess masters. Their weapons were words, doubt, irony. Every one of them could make an enemy feel safe while rearranging the battlefield under their feet. "We have a threat," Clark began, standing in the center of the circular chamber. Not from fear, from envy. They listened, silent and upright. They saw us win without firing first. They think we cheated. They want a war. The real kind. Guns and blood. They want us to prove it. A soft laugh rippled across the chamber. Dry, understanding. Clark looked at each of them. "So we'll do what we always do. We'll offer them coffee. Shake their hands. Smile. And when they strike," asked one, "we'll show them what patience becomes." Earth didn't launch a fleet. It launched envoys. Ships with hollow holds, carrying nothing but food, water, and books. It sent poets and astronomers, ambassadors with dimples and degrees. But beneath their polite laughter were encrypted cores, fractal-sheathed intelligence, and eyes that never blinked too long. The remnants attacked anyway. In a quiet system with 3 suns and no witnesses, the first of Earth's envoys was intercepted. No weapons fired, just silence, and then its disappearance from all tracking. Clark received the footage 2 hours later, grainy, half erased. One frame showed the face of an envoy, a young woman with glasses and a tulip pinned to her collar. She was smiling. He didn't speak for a long time. Then, with a quiet click, he opened a new relay, an old Dominion frequency known only to its core architects. He recorded a single message. "To those who smile with knives behind their backs, we remember what you did to our friends. We're not angry, just disappointed that you forgot who taught you how to do it." Then he shut the relay down. Aboard the fleet that had destroyed the envoy ship, the message arrived anyway, before anyone could explain how it breached their firewalls. It simply appeared on every screen. 10 seconds later, the lead vessel's AI self-erased. The second vessel exploded from within. The third began playing old Earth lullabies over its command bridge. The crew screamed. None of the fleet survived. Back on Mira, Rice entered the observation room to find Clark standing barefoot, holding a weather chessboard. "Teaching them again?" she asked. "Reminding them," he said. "This was never about war. This was about memory." She frowned. "They'll keep coming. They're scared now." "Good," Clark said. "Fear remembers better than ambition." Down on Earth, children played under blue skies. Old men built radio towers with copper wire and hummingbirds carved into their sides. Everywhere, the planet buzzed with quiet power, humble and terrifying. The Empire had fallen, not to fire, but to questions. Not to weapons, but to mirrors. Because Earth had never fought to conquer. Earth had simply waited. And when the last flicker of resistance reached toward the stars, clawing for meaning and revenge, it found only a smile. One final broadcast, caught on every channel in the known galaxy, played a single image. Clark, sitting in a chair by a fire, stirring tea. He looked at the camera. Tired, gentle. Then, almost regretful, he said, "You never understood. We didn't fight back. We let you win just long enough to lose something bigger." A pause. Trust. Then, the feed cut. And across 1,000 planets, survivors watched the sky and wondered what kind of species would fight with patience, win with silence, and still smile after the end.